to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with Julia and Philip Siracusa, sponsored by Carnation, airing live on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM in New Orleans. This show's entrance has been edited, produced, and directed by Gwen Clapper from Perfect Trust Productions, LLC. You can find us at perfecttrustproductions.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Phil Siracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We're also live on Roku, which is very, very exciting. So you can watch us live from your TV. We're fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. We love them. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate. Go to the YouTube channel, UFO Paranormal Radio. You can go into all the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Twitch, SoundCloud, Podbean, and of course, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. And if you have any questions for our guests, please ask. So tonight, guys, we have a very amazing guest and very different guest. So please welcome to the show, Miss Kamara Bonilla Forte. Hope I got it right.
Okay.
Yes?
Bonilla.
Okay. Bonilla. Okay. She found her way to paganism in 2011 after being a devoted Muslim for 13 years. She had a difficult spiritual awakening because her entire belief system was uprooted and she did not know why. She was brought into the training in an Italian witchcraft, which brought her to many other traditions of witchcraft. So tonight, we are going to dig deep into the world of witchcraft and understand the many different practices. So let's welcome her to the show tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. We're really looking forward to this tonight. So, we like to, take it from the beginning with our guests. So can you bring us to the beginning of your story and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I'm a 50-year-old witch-ish something. I don't really have a label. I grew up actually Methodist, and up until I think I was like 22, I actually came across the path of Islam, Sunni Muslim. I was a Sunni Muslim, very devout. And when back in 2010, as a Muslim, they pray 5 times a day, which is called Salat. And I was trying to make the morning prayer and I couldn't. And I had no idea what was going on with me. And I actually really thought that I was, because it was so powerful and so heavy, I really thought that I was turning into an atheist, which, I was like, well, maybe I don't believe in God at all. I ended up moving to Connecticut. And then afterwards, I have no idea where it came from. I was like, well, maybe I'm moving into Wicca. And I found a book and it helped a lot. And I'm not going to mention that author because there are a lot of not nice reactions that people can have about her, but it helped me a lot to where I needed to be. So I'm sorry about that. I read the book, did my first ritual, and it was to a safe travel home ritual. And after that, I ended up, I don't even remember. I think I bought the book. The first book that I bought after that was Italian Witchcraft by Raven Gramazzi. And I actually studied online under Raven and Stephanie for about 2 to 3 years. I took a few courses with them. So that was like my first grounding as far as any spiritual training. So after that, I was like a kid in a candy store, because for so long living in those monotheistic religions, you know, it was, you're not supposed to think about certain things, or you're going to go to hell. You can't do that. I can't do that. Well, okay, well, I can learn all this stuff and there's no consequence. So I became hungry, like really hungry for everything. And it's not because, and in my bio, yes, I have studied a lot of different spiritual paths, but I had to do that in order to find out what was going to work for me spiritually, because I can't say I don't like something if I haven't tried it. So I've delved deeply into many occult spiritual paths, as well as my own with my African background, but I never initiated. And as mentioned in my bio, I'm a devotee of the Orishas and Santeria, but I'm not an initiate. Um, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that I am very polytheistic, and I don't feel that I could just stick to just one pantheon or one culture, because after I studied Italian witchcraft, I actually was drawn to Celtic spirituality. So I am a member of Obad. So that helped to really, I fell in love with the Morrigan and Caradwin, who I am still devotees of to this day, as well as Brigitte. But I had to go through my own self-discovery, especially because being a Black woman trying to kind of venture into more European spiritual paths. And I honor Odin. I love Odin. I love Freya. But I remember when I was searching, trying to figure out, like, oh my gosh, like, what box am I supposed to be in? And I remember I was actually told by someone that was European that, well, maybe you should, stick to voodoo. And it's like, I tried it. I love voodoo. I have so much respect for it, but it didn't fit well with me spiritually. And I had to understand. And I had a friend of mine, in my jury group, actually in Georgia, he had told me, the gods don't look at our color. We're thinking with a human perspective. And I had to really get that in my head, because I know there are some negative things out there, especially with Norse spirituality. And I had to really understand that it's okay, and stop being I think I was a little afraid and intimidated. And I wouldn't, whenever I wouldn't even wear my Mjolnir, because I was expecting this negative reaction. Like, okay, you're definitely the wrong color. Odin is going to completely tell you to get away. Of course that didn't happen, but I am grounded. And although I do practice various spiritual paths, I'm not lost, and I don't mix. I can't say that I'm eclectic, because I have respect for each one of those cultures aspects, and I have to keep those separate, just out of respect. So, yeah.
That's where I get confused, because I feel like, and you have to, respect the traditions, and, but it's so hard to label yourself as one witch, and that I guess that's where I get lost, because I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a free spirit, and just work with the nature, and and I just it's so that that's where it gets confusing, I guess, for me, and
And
probably
complex too,
yeah.
because you're trying to figure out which box. And finally, the more I tried to put myself in a box or boxes, the more stress I was putting on myself, to where I couldn't even take myself away from, it was taking me away from the actual, honoring of the gods. Hecate is actually my main goddess. And I had to put those things away and just, what, wherever my spirit takes me, if I feel like it, 1:00 in the morning, I want to find out about, Kabbalah, I can do that too. And I don't want I've instilled that in my daughters, because I don't want them to ever feel restricted wherever their soul or their spirit may take them. Do it freely, and you can be yourself, because there's no, for me, I'm not speaking for other people, but
I agree with that. I agree
there's
with
no happiness doing what somebody else wants you to do, doing what a specific religion tells you. Well, you have to do this, or this bad thing is going to happen to you. And I don't live my life anymore under that dogma, and it's liberating. So
I can relate to that. I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, it's just but what in the beginning, like, how did you get involved with the Italian witchcraft? Like, what, like, kind of like pulled you towards that?
I think because I found out that I have Italian in my ancestry, which was not
Ah,
voluntary. It was, via slavery. But um, I started doing some research, and then I figured out, okay, we've got some Italian in the family. And I don't know if that drew me to it, but I just started looking up some stuff online. I was like, Italian witchcraft. And I didn't, it's called Stregheria, and I didn't know what it was. And I found that book in a bookstore, and I was like, this looks
mhm.
interesting. And that's how I was,
Yeah.
introduced to Raven Gramazzi and Stephanie and their work. And they are the most beautiful people that I could have come across. And I think it was just meant for me, for that to be my first introduction to any type of spiritual training. Um, it was a very beautiful experience, and there were no judgments, no criticisms. It was just, it's all love, and we're all here to learn. So that's how I came into it. And I really feel like it has to do with with my ancestry, that those things are just in my lineage.
Yeah.
And I just, you know
You're kind of like pulled to it, right? In
yes,
some weird
yes.
way. I mean, it's kind of like the paranormal too. You're pulled in a way, in a direction, and you really kind of figure out like why.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right,
Absolutely.
Phil?
Oh yeah,
Phil's
my
looking
turn.
forward to it.
No, I find it very interesting that you study different forms, and that's great. So here's the question I'm sure everybody would want to ask: what can a witch do?
What kind of what? I'm sorry.
What can a witch do?
You said what am I a witch too?
No,
No,
what
no,
can a
what
witch
can a witch do? What can you do as a witch?
What
you
I do,
do
I
as a witch?
practice hoodoo as well, which it is a practice. It's not a religion. Um, I work with energies. I have a natural ability for healing. Um, I don't, and I guess you would say that I am empathic, but I have it
Mhm.
so heavily, and I can also sense spirits, which has not always been a good thing for me. Um, and I can pick up on things. And sometimes, just as of late, I would say probably in the past 6 months. And I think only is because I had an extremely traumatic experience with a Ouija board back in high school. And
Oh,
it stopped me because I've always been spiritually aware. I've always been able to pick up on things. It just seemed like it was always the stuff that was scary. So
okay.
I would try to suppress it. But when I came into paganism and practicing witchcraft, I understood that there's a lot of things that I've been doing that I didn't even realize. But I will instinctively know what's going on with someone physically, with their health, or spiritually, or mentally. And I have like a natural knack to be able to kind of pull that out, and not to uh to insult them or anything, only if it's brought up. I've passed by people sometimes, and I know what's going on with them with their health. Like, I physically feel it in my
Wow.
body. um and that's not always fun, because whenever I see someone that's bleeding or anything like that, I get a very severe pain in my legs whenever someone is hurting. And like I said, as of lately, I do tarot read, but I don't do it as for money. It's just mostly for family and friends. But healing, natural healing, and herbal. Like, I just love herbs, and I love
Mhm.
being able to help people in the sense of when they have something going on with them. I don't necessarily will go to a book or a spell. I work better when I'm just natural and I just go with it. And that's usually when my magic is most productive and most pure, is when if I don't follow a formula and I just go by what I'm feeling intuitively, my results are on like perfect. So it doesn't work all the time, because not everything is meant to happen. But for the most part, I do. I go by my natural instincts, And I do have a knack for being able to kind of dig into places to where people don't necessarily want to have known, but it just kind of comes to me naturally. And I don't like that sometimes because I like to be wrong. Like, I really don't want to be, you have the situations like, I really don't want to be right about this person, but I'm feeling them and I can feel their spirit. And it's just like,
Well,
it's garbage. Yeah. It's like,
I know. I can tell you that you have to always go with your gut when you get those feelings, because to me, everything you're saying is like you're a medium too. Like, you can actually, you walk by people and you can, pick up on their health conditions, and that's what I feel like.
and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's not like
it's horrible, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
horrible.
don't like
That's
it.
the impact too, of feeling that energy of people and knowing like, oh no, not for me.
No, and I don't talk about it. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not this. This is not a game for me. And in my experience, this is, I take magic very seriously. And I've been in Facebook groups that I've since left because, we do have a kuleana, or responsibility to the community when we're doing things and we're putting that stuff out there. There are people who are new to this, who have no clue, and they think it's fun. Okay, I'm gonna hex you because you took my parking spot, or I'm gonna do this to bring my lover back. And it's like, there's rules of this stuff.
Yeah.
We're manipulating energies, and you cannot just frivolously do magic because it is very real.
It's
not
a big responsibility. It's not like exactly what you said. It's a big responsibility, and it's not something that you can just whip out and because you're angry at someone. It's because that comes right back to you. That comes back to people.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
hoodoo we don't deal with. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, voodoo.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You don't want that karma coming back to you. So
I know hoodoo karma does not play.
mm-hmm.
We don't believe in karma when it comes to hoodoo. It's like whatever you choose to do, you take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
So, but even in hoodoo, I'm not. I've only had to do maybe 2 works of like really, really heavy protection, but it was not unprovoked. And that's I feel my right to be able to do so, because my daughter was being harmed. So yeah.
Well, there are definitely times when you might have to do it. But it's a big responsibility. You have to know what you're doing. It's just like playing the Ouija board, right? You have to know what you're doing. And a lot of these young kids like yourself, me and Phil too, you dabble in that when you're young and you don't know what is gonna come out of that, and it ends up pretty bad for a lot of people.
I still won't touch one. And that's just how bad. That's just how bad it was.
It is, and it's just a board. A board. It's the intent that you're that you're putting into the board. You can really use anything, but.
And we didn't know what we were doing. It was just like, hey, let's go across the hall to this vacant apartment and we're gonna play with this Ouija board. And I thought that I was calling my great grandfather, who had recently passed about 3 months. And he was such a gentle soul. He would never do anything to scare me or hurt me or anything like that. And the planchette moved by itself. And we just left. And whatever we contacted followed me and stayed with me for about 15 years. That's just how long it took me to get to a healthy place, but it never tried to hurt me. Now, if I knew what I knew back then, what I knew now, I probably would have been able to try to figure out what it was. But because I was so terrified of it, I fed it. I was feeding it my fear. And my family, they were going to admit me to a mental institution because they thought I was crazy. But my cousin at the time, who was a devout Christian, actually explained to my family, no, she's telling the truth. She's not crazy. This stuff is real. And it followed me and it stayed on me. And it was so bad. I couldn't even close my eyes to pray. I was a Christian back then, but I couldn't take a shower without the door open. It was horrific.
Yeah.
And it was traumatizing. And I didn't have anybody to say, I didn't know anybody in the pagan community. We were just kids thinking we could play with a pentagram and have a great time and play with this Ouija board. But I didn't have anybody that was outside of, Christianity to explain to me, hey, what happens when you're dealing with spirits. I've always been close to them and felt them. But with that situation, I didn't have any help. I had no help.
Yeah, because especially back then, I mean, no one really understood it and no one wanted to believe
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Thank God for the young generation now, because it's so much, it's more welcomed, and there's so many more people out there
Absolutely.
willing to help. And
absolutely.
so it was a bad time. I know Phil has a story about the Ouija board though.
Yeah, you got to be careful with it. It's the intent. It's just a board. It's no magic potion. It's just a board, but it's the intent and the spiritual world that knows what you're doing and what you're using.
Right.
And I myself have been followed back through an entity, and it's not pleasant. It's if you don't know what you're dealing with. I've seen horrific things happen to people that don't even believe that were doing that board with me. So you have to be very careful with a Ouija board, and I don't believe there is an expert on it. And if I don't believe it, sorry.
I don't know. I agree.
You're talking to, you don't even know who you're talking to.
Thank you.
And those doors that are being opened, they can latch on for years. Some of them can be malevolent, and they can get you on their watch, and they can take you down. And I've seen it firsthand. To non-believers. So I can tell you that it's real. And, I wouldn't recommend it. That's for sure.
Were you harmed when you were?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This thing never tried to harm me. And I didn't understand that.
I'll tell you what happened. The spirit threatened to stab me. The next day, I couldn't get out of bed. I felt like someone took a knife and ripped my thigh apart.
Oh my God.
And I was in bed for a week. And that's a fact. There were no blood marks. There were no scratch marks. It did what it can do, and it proved it. So there's some things out there that we just have to be careful with. When people like myself, when I was 19, 18, I thought I could speak to a friend who crossed over or somebody. Sometimes you can, but other times there's something else coming through as well. And it could just be that one that says, oh, let's play my way.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly 100% believe you. I believe you. I know you're not. You're telling the truth.
That's a fact.
That's something else.
I tell it the way it is. I tell it straight the way it is.
Yeah.
It's scary, and you have to be careful. I'm interested in, I know you said that your daughter had some issues and you used spiritual work, magic / whatever, witchcraft, and I've done it too. Now, I'll tell you about myself really quick, and this show's about you, but witchcraft is real, magic is real. I don't read books. It's just like it comes through and tells me what to do. I don't even know what I'm doing. It just tells me, do this, A, B, and C, and D. I do A, B, and C, and D, thinking that I'm a moron for doing A, B, and C, and D, only to know that it happens a day or two later to whoever I was doing A, B, and C, and D with. And I'm like, but I didn't read a book. I didn't study the stuff. And yet there's no way that's a coincidence.
Not at all. I really believe that some of us, we just don't need bugs. I mean, I think those people like that are so strong and spiritually, and they're aware and they're very grounded that they trust themselves, even though it doesn't feel like you're trusting yourself. But if I try to use a book of some spell, it will go completely haywire. The little situation I have with my daughter, actually, I petitioned Hecate because she is a protector of women and animals, dogs. But I petitioned her, and I have results in 3 days. And all I needed to happen is that I needed for these people to leave my daughter alone.
Yeah.
Didn't want to harm them,
Yes.
but I needed them to back up and get up off of her. So I did what I needed to do. So and I do have a freezer full of freezer spells. And the girls, they all know it's like, okay, mommy's got another body in the, you know, in the freezer, because there's like,
how many, what is in your freezer? That was
they work so quickly and so well. It's like, if I just need something done really quickly, that's the way to do it. Now, if I'm doing something like long term, or like a year and a half ago, I was needing a job because I was a travel agent, and of course, COVID destroyed anything and everything. So I was out of work for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I was down to the wire of needing. My landlord was like, I know you're getting unemployment, but we need to know that you're going to have a job to continue to pay your rent. And it was, I'm talking about down to like 3 weeks. Yeah. That they had given me, okay, we're going to give you 60 days, but you're going to have to move because we need to know that you're going to have money to pay. So it's like, okay, I had to pull out the big guns. Now with that, who I go to for any financial things will be Mamzelle Laveau. I am been a very devoted follower of hers for several years. So because of where my front door is, that's my magic space, because it's a doorway, and I love keys and doors, which, you know, Hecate. But I did that working, and I mean, I went hard. I had to like really do like extra stuff because I needed to be able to stay in my home. I didn't want to have to go out and work because I've always worked from home. I wanted to be able to work from home so I could be with my girls. I had to take care of that too. So a very popular hoodoo working is to, when you're needing to stay where you live, is that you mark your territory with 4 railroad spikes. Kind of keeps you grounded where you are. So I had to do that first. So this was like a multi-layered thing because I had so much on the line. I had nowhere to go. I got that. I think I did. That was like a 2-week working. And I got everything I asked for, very specifically, exactly what I asked for. So it works. As be responsible, you know, and also too, I do find that I've come across people who they feel like, oh, okay, I don't know anything about this goddess. I'm just gonna put a shrine up in 5 minutes. And I need her to give me $500. And that's how you get your feelings hurt, because the gods and goddesses, if they don't want to deal with you, they won't. And if you disrespect them, they will let you know, I've been disrespected. I had my own experience with the paranormal thing, but yeah, I was in that F around and find out with Kali. Kali Jama does not play. And she taught me a very lesson, and I did not approach that goddess until probably 2-3 years ago. So yeah, it's serious. So yeah.
Well, Julie's a witch.
No.
Yeah, why tell her to go fly around on a broomstick at night?
She already knew. She already knows.
Yeah, we gotta travel.
Why tell her to get on a broomstick and go fly around?
I had an idea. Just a skulls. So how have
you know what?
Only a witch for 20 years.
Oh wow.
I married a witch. No, but you know what? I'll tell you something.
Before I really knew.
The laws of practice within witchcraft, I believe in, because I believe that a person who has those abilities to protect themselves and those around them have every right to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And through measures of what the work that I've done, you have done, and what you've practiced, and I didn't practice any of the stuff, but I believe that that's a great thing, because you're going through a different avenue, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If you can stop someone from being harmed and bullied, or whatever the case may be, or you're in a situation where, you know, how am I going to get money? Why not? Why not? Yeah. I think that there's a similarity and a closeness to prayers. When certain people of belief pray to a certain angel, or their God, whatever God they believe in, and sometimes those prayers are answered. There's a similarity within witchcraft that you go through other means of prayer and intent of belief that
Absolutely.
the activity will work within the favor of yourself through the laws of the universe. So I'm all for
Yes.
it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I mean,
Yeah.
the
I love
Bible,
you.
a lot of pagans are, oh God, the Bible. But the Bible is a main staple of hoodoo. If you're not using the Bible, you're not doing hoodoo. I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing hoodoo. And, you know, people don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, like the Psalms, that within itself is a whole grimoire, because every prayer in Psalms can bring about certain actions. And in hoodoo, that's what we do. We may pray certain psalms against an enemy, against, you know, or for something. It's very powerful, and you don't have to be a Christian to do it. And only because, yeah, I'm not a Christian anymore, but as a hoodoo practitioner, that's one thing that cannot be removed from that. And I have to respect that, because there are a lot of things in the Bible that I absolutely do not like and do not agree with. But when it relates to any root work that I'm doing, yeah, I have to include that, because it's part of it. It's like the centerpiece. So, now the other stuff in there, no.
Well, you know what? Listen, myself, I respect all forms of religion, but do I believe everything in these Bibles? I don't. Sorry, I don't.
Me either. I don't
Because,
either.
you know, people make valid points that, well, why doesn't these biblical things happen today in such a way where it happened before? You know, and there's so many unanswered questions. I don't believe in it, and
You don't
everyone
believe it
seems to
happened
have a
before?
tailored religion according to their beliefs.
Absolutely.
And
I
it's
don't
like,
believe it
okay,
happened
so
before.
your religion's right, and you believe, but my religion's wrong. Or so I don't buy into that. I believe in a universal law, karmic view, and I believe that before we take place within the physical realms, we have written out a life path of things that we want to choose to learn through as our soul groups, soulmates, how we want to go through this whole experience, whether you
Yes.
want to be a witch or a pagan or a priest, and you are in your own universal lane, as if you're the only one that exists. And it's you
Absolutely.
to accomplish that. And the exit sign that you've chosen, whenever you've chosen it, through that value of life that you've experienced and accomplished, you will end this journey and move on to the next one.
Yes, Ashe. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I definitely believe in soul groups. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
I I can't, and a lot of people, I'm going to say this, but we're being frank and honest here. But I think one of the biggest challenges that I have faced, um, being a woman of color and practicing outside of Christianity or, you know, Islam, is some people are afraid. They're not necessarily afraid of me, but I cannot. That's one thing that even as a kid, I had questions about Christianity and things like, wait a minute, this is not making sense. If I was like 12 and it wasn't logical to me, what does that say? You know, because we always want to shush kids up, especially when it comes to religion most of the time, because we're practicing what we're taught. And for us, when Africans were brought over to this country, we had our own religion. We had deep connections to our ancestors, and that was taken away from us to the point where now it's beat into us. Okay, yeah, don't mess with your ancestors. No, it's not. No, my ancestors, they have me, and I had to. That was something I had to actually learn to do, because it was preventing me from moving forward on my spiritual path. But this stuff with and that's something I cannot, it grates on my nerves. I can't be around limited thinking people, especially when it comes on spiritual matters. I'm not going to tread on what you do. So don't try to disrespect
Exactly.
mine just because I don't believe what you believe. And I've had that to happen. Oh, what do you do? Hug trees and stuff? Yeah, maybe you should try it. It's a beautiful experience. I've had that to happen. Come, you know,
I
the people that show up
totally
to your
get it.
door, you know, that with the Bible
Yeah.
and tell you about God. Yeah, those. Oh, what do you do? Hug trees? Apps every chance I get. They talk. You're part of that, whether you want to be or not. You're part of the tree. In fact, when you leave this and cross the veil, your body will return back to where it was in its natural state. So yes, you too are part of that tree. And I respect everybody. I have Satanists who are friends of mine. I'm friends of Luciferians. And I, only because I don't want to, like I said, lock myself into a spiritual path, I'm cool with some stuff with Luciferianism. Like it's like, wait a minute. How can Lucifer be that bad? Like or Satan, because I really believe with that sometimes those that focus too much on Satan, how are you like actually focusing on your God when you're worried about what Satan is doing, which really, in my belief, Satan is what is internal. That's you. You're the Satan.
Very interesting. I like how you put that. You're right. How you're focusing so much on Satan, on whatever, but you should be focusing on yourself and everything that you're doing and you're bringing into the universe. And
like stay up out of other people's business, spiritual business. Stay up out of people's spiritual business. And that's my philosophy. I will share what I believe, but I'm not going to press it on you. I'm not going to go. It's like when people ask me, oh, do you want to go to church? Well, yeah. You want to come to this full moon ritual I've got going on next week? Hey, I've got everything. I've got the cakes and wine. I'll go to your church. And it's like, oh no. It's like, okay, then don't. We're doing interfaith exchange here. If you want me to come in and participate in what you believe in, you're going to have to take it down a notch, and you have to come with mine too, because we're not going to do you're better than me. And I do not tolerate that from anybody, that because you are of the main three, that makes you better than me.
No,
I'm in reality. I don't know where you are, but I'm in reality. And that's why I live my life. And that's like, you take that delusional stuff somewhere else. It's not, no.
I don't think people realize how unjudgmental like we really are.
Thank you.
It's just, I think they look at us like we're all freaks, but I mean, we're kind of like the most unjudgmental
and most humane. The way we treat other people.
It really is true. It really is. And it's sad, but it's just not on their path to understand and learn right now.
And they can have it. If they like it, I love it. So if that's where you want to be, fine. Just, to you be your way and to me mine. And that's all I ask in kind. I don't want any, you don't have to accept what I believe. You don't even have to like it, but you're not going to disrespect me.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to disrespect you. That's easy.
And it should be like the way of everybody, it should be with everything. I mean, not just the paranormal and witchcraft. It's just life, but it isn't.
Thank you.
It should be, but it isn't, and it never will be.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everything. It's crazy. Just gotta focus on yourself and not worry about everybody.
No. Everybody you love, just, I don't even do root work for people unless it's outside of my family. Maybe, it's got to be somebody close to me. I'll do cleanses, I'll do Olympias, but I won't. I've had people that ask me to do like love work. Nope. Yeah. That is the most fickle and unpredictable work that you can do, because you're dealing with, people's emotions in there, and love and stuff. Love is strange, and that's not something I want to try to harness. And I've seen some disasters as a result of that. Someone who was trying to get a lover back, and they ended up coming back, and then they were abusive and obsessed with them. But it's like, you got what you asked for. You were trying to impose on somebody else's will. If he wasn't feeling you, why do you want him back? Like, leave him alone. And so it can go either way. But yeah, I won't do that kind of work for people, or because you don't know what's on the other side of that. You don't know what responsibility that person had, what their role was, and you're taking on that role and responsibility for something that may not even be correct. So I'm careful about that. I don't do work for people like that.
I don't blame you. That's tricky.
Yeah, it's like, I'll tell you what you can do. You can get these candles, petition this particular saint or whatever, but you do it, because don't call me, because I'm not the spiritual ghostbuster when some stuff goes down and you can't figure out what it is. I'm not.
And then you're gonna come back and they're gonna blame you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's like, nope. I'm not a mean person. I'm just careful and cautious.
No, I mean, everything that you're saying is correct. I mean, it's just, that's the way it should be. I just want to say, give Lena a shout out in chat. Hello, Lena. How are you?
Is that Lena that we know, or is that Lena somebody else?
No, that's Lena we know, Miss Lena. She's in chat.
Oh,
hello.
Hello. And what's she, Montana? Lena's in Montana? Yeah, no, I know that. She lives in Montana. I think it's right. Montana's really cold.
Yeah, she lives in Montana. Oh,
Lena, when's the invite? When are we going to be invited?
I'm sure. I don't know. I wish you would.
But I'm sure the listener out there, this is an interesting show. I mean, I could have a million questions. But I will say this. You talk about the love spells. Look, I'm straightforward. I don't read books and know what I'm doing with that stuff. But ironically, back in the 90s, people did come to me, a few people, and says, I'm in a bad relationship. She's breaking up with me, or he's breaking up with me, yada, yada, yada. Can you help me? Not Philip, but the person in Philip says yes, that inner voice. Today, they're all married still.
I see that worked.
Yes.
It's a gamble, and it worked.
And if you ask me, do I know? No, I don't. It's the inner part of me that came out and says, I know how to do this. If you ask me right now, I'll say, I don't know how to do it. For some reason, on this journey, this life journey, it's as if, when you have to do something and nothing's going to stop you, right?
That's true. I agree.
It's like that movie Flashdance, when she knew she was going to be the best dancer and nothing was going to stop her. It's like you have that inner part of you. And so we all have that inner part of us, whether it's getting a job, or you want to start a family, or you want to meet the right person, or you want to move across country. And that inner part of you saying, you're doing it. Nothing's stopping you. Yeah. And you do it, right?
That's true.
So
absolutely.
I believe that inner part of you, we all have to take advantage of and go with it. Ride that wave, because that wave is telling you, this is for you on your journey. That's you true. Can do this.
I see that's different because the intentions, the good intentions were there, I'm sure, for yourself as well as the person who you're doing this for. It's when you start getting into, for selfish reasons, when you know that this person, why they left you to begin with, first of all, apparently then it worked, and it's just, I think only because I'm basing it off of my experiences with love work with people that are wanting me to do it. And
it's very delicate. Yeah.
It is.
It's a delicate situation. I agree.
Hey, it's different unless you're already in love. You want to make it better. That's different.
I'll tell you something funny. So I'm starting this ritual, right? And now, again, I'm just going by the inner part of me. So next day I get a phone call. And the guy calls me up and goes, you're not going to believe this. Now, I don't know if you planned this. She called me. And I says, what? I dropped the phone. I was like, I pick up the phone. She called you? I'm in shock of what I did. And it's like, yeah, we're going to meet for dinner. Happily, now we're in 2023, and that was 1995.
Wow.
So
that's beautiful. Funny. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm all for it when it goes that way. Yeah. And you did it. You were the catalyst for that. So that's when it's beautiful. And I think also mainly because you had good intentions too. You weren't trying to do anything nefarious. You really were wanting good, and it worked. And they were supposed to be together. Obviously they're together. So it worked out. And it's just like, I guess I haven't really been fortunate enough to meet someone that wanted that work done, that had good intentions. This was like selfishness. And they ended up creating havoc. I don't know, I can't remember who she petitioned, but she did it, and it caused so much chaos in her home. Yeah. And she called me and asked me, could I come get rid of it? No. I told you not to do it anyway. You wanted to go ahead and call him, and then he did. He ended up hating her. It was kind of like Love Potion #9, if you've seen that movie.
Yes, yes.
That's kind of how it turned out. And it's like,
that was in my mind.
I tried to tell you, mommy. I tried to tell you, and you didn't listen. So, have at it. Have fun. But and I know I've been rambling. I apologize, but
no, I mean, it's a big responsibility, and you have to have good intentions, and you both said it exactly the way it is.
Absolutely.
So I know the listener out there is going to want to know some exciting stuff on your end. What can a witch do? So can a witch turn a rival into a frog? Well, obviously that's far-fetched, but
yeah,
a witch can put someone in a box.
Do you mean bring about
people in what, in a box?
Bring about unaliving? Is that what you mean?
No. What I'm saying is contain them from the wrong things that they do to another person.
Oh, I'm kind of middle of the road on that, only because it's gonna depend. Like I would not, if I see somebody doing something to somebody and it's not directly related to me, I'm not going to go and impinge on that, even though I know it's wrong what they're doing. It's just that I feel like I cannot dip my toe into that unless it's something that is directly related to me, because I don't want to. In a sense, I feel like I'm really imposing on something, even if it's bad. I just feel that there are some things you should not impose on unless it's directed to you, because those things can backfire. It's not out of fear, and it's not even like the karmic aspect of it. It's the fact that whatever it is that you are doing, you can't ever really know the full details of something that you're deciding you're going to do some type of baneful work. So I would never do that, only if I knew everything that I need to know for me to make that decision. And before I would do any type of, even when I'm doing money work or bank, anything like that, I always do a reading, because I need to make sure that I am making the best decision and not just willy-nilly. Well, it looks like something from the outside and you really don't know what's going on. And there could be some other inner workings, and it can either backfire or it's going to go a whole different way that you did not expect. So I'm going to say, no, I wouldn't do that.
I like that answer.
What can you do? Give me like 3 things you can do that the audience would want to hear as a witch.
I know how to sweeten. I know how to sweeten. Some people, which is, I think it's a pretty new concept as far as like sweetening someone. I do a lot of sweetening work when I'm dealing with a jerk who's directly connected to me, and I need for them to like kind of get themselves together. I will do a lot of sweetening. I'm very good at that. And I'm also very good about the La Tapa Boca work. And I call it, I don't want to cuss, but I call it the shut the F up work. And I have been very effective in doing that. And I am also very good in being able to, when someone is going through something and they may not know how to express it, I can tune into them and I can hear. And when things come to me, they come to me in words. Now, I don't get like full sentences, but when I hear spirit, it will come as actual just choppy words, and I can put it together, and I'm actually have to hone in and listen, and it will be exactly what that person is needing, and it'll be exactly what that person may be feeling, because I'm not about I'm a skeptic. You can't just tell me you do some stuff, or hey, I do readings and your great grand somebody is reaching out and have a message. No, they don't, because they'll tell me first. I mean, I have a good enough connection with them. But what I can do is I am a healer. I know I'm very good in being crafty when I need something done. I know how to get in and do it on a magical level. Now, I'm going to always try to do whatever I can first on a mundane level, but sometimes you got to bring in the big guns. So I would say I am very adept at being able to hone in on get done what I need done and how to do it. I have a whole arsenal of herbs, candles, all kinds of little doodads that I use in my magical practice. And I don't do magic like all the time, because a lot of things will just happen on its own but every now and again, either somebody needs to be taught a lesson or somebody needs some help. And I have the ability to be able to go in, okay, tell me what's going on with you. All right, I'm going to do this reading and to find out if this is what we need to do. But I am very adept at listening to spirit now. I used to not be, because I was afraid of that Ouija board situation. So I was terrified of it. And I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I was going out a scheduled C-section, and I was walking past to go in and register, and this lady was smoking. She was far enough away from the hospital property, but she said, "You need to stop running. You need to stop running from your gift. It's not going away." It was something like that, and I thought she was crazy, and it scared me. And I was like, "What?" She said, "You have a very powerful gift. Stop running from it, because it's not going to go away." And she was right. Yeah. I tried to run from it. I tried to run from being able to sense spirits. I've seen them. I tried to run away from it. So I guess what I do is I do my magic SHIT and I get it done. So that's the best way I can describe it, is that I don't play around when it comes to that. If I'm going in, it is serious for me. There's preparation I have to do, and I am naturally able to hone in and figure out what I need to do to get something done. And I feel that can be a witch's greatest gift, is how. You are not the one that's going to jump out the window and commit suicide if something is going down. You know how to, okay, I can't fix this on a mundane level, but I can't pull out these herbs and these crystals and these candles here, and we're getting ready to get to work. And I go in and I do what I need to do. I don't talk about it. A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" I don't even talk about it. Yeah, when everything is okay, the dust is settled, then I'll come back and we'll talk about it. But right now, I don't. It may look like I'm not doing anything on the inside, but I'm not going to discuss it with you. That's a very private thing. I don't discuss if I'm doing some work. I'm not going to tell anybody about it. Yeah, it's just you get to see the results. This is what I did to make this happen. So I think my determination and grit, because I wasn't blessed to have somebody train me, early on. I mean, early on I did, but for a while I had to wing it. I had to learn how to do this stuff myself. I didn't have anybody to teach me hoodoo. I just kind of started naturally doing stuff, and I know what works and what doesn't. I do spells a lot of times. I don't write them out. I can be just like actually doing something, and I'm in the middle, and I will come up with something, and that's what I'm going with, and that's what I do. So I guess that's about, yeah.
That's great. I have, I'm going to play skeptic. I'm not a skeptic, so it's not me playing it, but I have to play it for the listener. A listener would ask me, and I just want your response to this. These are simple questions. Why, if a person is a psychic, why can't they pick the winning lottery numbers? And your answer would be?
Hell, I don't know. I don't know, because I think only certain things are accessible to us as psychic, because I don't claim to be psychic. That I don't take that label, because anybody can be psychic. It's not some special gift that only.
Right. No, I know it's not for you to, I know that you didn't say you were psychic, but people would say, well, why can't a psychic pick the winning lottery numbers? And I just wanted to hear your response of what you would think.
I think that maybe it's because, there are some things we are meant to know and some things we aren't, because everybody that has psychic gifts, they are specifically kind of honed in on certain areas. Like some people who are psychics, they get premonitions. I get dreams. But I've never had anything to where I've dreamt of lottery numbers, like ever. I've dreamt of people who have died. I've dreamt of accidents that have happened. I've dreamt of other events, but not anything, and not even on a grand scale. I just think there are some people who may have that ability, that either maybe they don't talk about it and they keep it to themselves, or they only, maybe they keep it within their family or somebody they trust, because being able to do that, because what happens if you're wrong one time? See, everybody's going to be on your team while you may get it right 5 times. That 6th time, you'll be completely off, and then all of a sudden you're a fraud. So I think it's possible. I really think it's possible. I'm not going to discount and say it can't happen, but I think that it all has to do with maybe I haven't come across any psychic that like has told me that, or we'd all be millionaires. But I just think that maybe it can happen for some and some not, and that we're not all being a psychic doesn't mean you're going to get it right every time. And if I was that type of, if I labeled myself as a psychic and I could do lottery numbers, I'd be scared, because I know that people are going to expect a hit every single time. And the time that they don't, and you give them those numbers, they're ready to fight. Yeah. You're a fraud. You said you could give me lottery numbers. Well, nothing is guaranteed. I mean, except death. So how can we even say that? Like, I think you it can happen, but
right.
Not every
So
time.
I do have one more question as the clock is running out for this show. That
Yes.
A person would ask, again, I'm not the skeptic, but this is what a skeptic would ask. If a healer can heal people in the churches where so-called people fall down during the procedures of these people have or these abilities to send out God's word and make them fall down, why can't those same people go into hospitals and heal people when those people cannot move? And what would your answer be?
Well, I do not believe in faith healers. Now, when I say I heal, I'm talking about with herbs and knowing how things take. But I absolutely do not. I had my own personal experience when someone decided they were going to put the Holy Spirit on me. He kept like smacking me in my forehead until I just made myself fall out because it was hurting. But I do not believe in faith healers, because people die. These people are dying because they're believing that God is going to heal them. But if you believe in God, that means God, if he created everything, that means he created cures for things. That's why we have places for you to go to be treated for certain things so that you can be okay. But nah, I'm not, I am not at all faith healers. I don't, because people want something to believe in. Most of us are, spiritually gullible. We want to believe that there is something outside of us that we can't see that is going to create a miracle. I'm not saying miracles don't happen, but no, I don't believe in them. So yeah, absolutely not. I don't.
No, thanks for your answer. Those are just things that people would ask off the cuff. I know that because I get asked that all the time. Julie, you have any questions?
No. I mean, I guess no. I'm just like floored by this whole show. I mean, I've learned a lot, and that's what it's all about, right? Knowledge is power.
I've had a great time.
Before we end the show, for the listener out there, how would they, if a person is interested in doing some of the work that you're doing, can they contact you, or where would they look? Give me some information on that.
Sure. I can give you my email address.
Okay.
And that's Kamara.b like boy forte @gmail.com. Kamara.bforte@gmail.com. And I am more than willing to, I'm always open to answering questions. I don't charge. I've had people want to charge me because I had a spiritual question, but reach out to me anytime. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to just guess. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you. But please, anybody who is new, I've ran the gamut on things. I've probably tried it or, learned it. So, because I've been around a lot, but yes, please, anytime, Kamara.bforte@gmail.com. I can be reached there.
Okay.
Awesome.
This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for allowing me. This is gosh. Yeah.
It's been fun. I just want to say special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show. We love them. And you can join us next week, the same time at 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from New Orleans. And stay tuned for Trishma with the missing piece. So thank you.
And don't forget, everyone, really quick, you can watch this on Roku. We are live right now, but the repeats are there. So that's a big thing for all of us. Hey, thank you so much for coming on. You've been a great guest. We look forward to speaking to you in the future, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great, safe night. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.